I guess we're live now. We're live now.
Yeah. That did the trick.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because my phone notification went off.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you, Malcolm, for being on the show to let us know when we're live. Even if it does not say that we are live, I don't know what's going on. This is pure chaos, and welcome to Your List Sucks. And tonight we are talking about monster movies. Please, in the chat, let us know if their list sucks. I'm not the biggest monster movie fan. Some of these guys pick movies that I like. Some people pick movies that I don't think they should have ever watched. But guess what? That's the point of the show, and I'm about to rip everybody apart for it, and I'm hoping the chat will help me. But again, how the show works is I bring 3 people from the film community. They give me their personal top 10 list. I combine them. I have no input besides my opinion on how their list is, and I'll tell them about it. But first, we got Malcolm Goldie-Lay. Malcolm, you notified me that we're live. You get a extra buffer tonight on your list because you're going to need it. But tell me how you feel about monster movies before we get there.
Yeah, I mean, just like you, monster movies is one that I thought I'd seen enough, but it got to the point where I was like, oh shit, I'm actually running out of ones I've actually seen and sort of there. But I mean, Cody telling me my choices suck is a regular day at the office for me, so I'm here for fun.
That's absolutely correct, and I'm glad you're here. Next, Kirk. Kirk, you're joining us today. How do you feel about monster movies? When we talked, you had like a short list of like 200, and then you compiled it down or whatever. So how do you feel about monster movies?
Yeah, it's a broad topic. I mean, I think what we're going to find out here tonight, there's a lot of different ways to define monster movie. So I think I came up with some pretty good ones, maybe some a little bit out of the box, a few more maybe a little more traditional, but I'm excited to see how it goes.
Do you think your list sucks?
I don't know. I don't know how I ended up on this show. My list's amazing. You could ask you could ask Chance over there. He had me on top 5 a few weeks ago, and he'll tell you I was the clear cut winner on that episode. So I expect to pull out a victory today as well.
You and me, when we're on ranking shows, we think it's a game, and I appreciate that. And next, we got the Cobra with us, Chance Ellison. I was going to have his appearance a little bit later, but he said, hey, I can fill in when somebody dropped out, so I was not going to pass up the opportunity. Chance, how do you feel about monster movies, and do you think your list sucks?
Funny story. When you brought this topic, I thought it was... You said you need a new panelist. I thought it was unnecessary sequels, reboots, and remakes. So I was getting ready for that, but then you're like, oh, it's monster movies. I'm like, oh, let me see if I can qualify to do this. And I saw my list and just like, oh yeah, no, I can swing this there. I do enjoy a good monster flick. Full disclosure, I think my list is going to be the best purely because I may have the most lax definition of the word monster on this fucking panel. So yeah, I'm ready to go.
That probably is 100% accurate. I'm like, wow, of pop culture buzzwords, Chance has a ton of them on movie topics here. So it's going to be really exciting how it's going to work as each person's going to give me their bottom 3. If you have it higher up on your list, guys, please tell the person that we want to talk about them later. You can throw some jabs at them, calling them an idiot for having it that low. I don't care. If you think I care about your feelings on the show, well, you showed up on the wrong show. So how the show is going to work, first Kirk's going to go, then Chance, then Malcolm. So Kirk, give us your bottom 3 and explain a little bit why these movies made your list.
Sure. For my 10 and 9 are both smaller, lesser seen movies. My number 10 is the character of Sam from Trick or Treat. If you've seen the movie Trick or Treat, it's an anthology film. It takes place over one Halloween night, and the common thread is this little monster called Sam. And I really like him as a monster because the movie's about Halloween, and this character perfectly embodies Halloween. He's cute, he's childlike, but he's also scary and dangerous. And I think that's a great way to encapsulize Halloween. So he's a great fit in that movie. The only reason he's not he'd be a little higher on my list. If you've seen the movie, I'm going to spoil a little bit. They unmask him at the end, and it's kind of disappointing. That's one thing I don't like about the movie. So what's that?
I mean, that's a bit of an understatement. Like the revelation of who Sam is a disappointment. Yeah. Go watch if you haven't seen it. It's still be hilarious. Disappointed.
Yeah,
that's fair. I don't think anybody else had Trick or Treat. Is that right? Just making sure.
I did not. No.
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
My number 9 movie monster was from another smaller movie. The character is called The Girl. The movie is A Girl Walks Home at Night. It's an Iranian, I believe it's Iranian monster movie, and it's about just what appears to be a normal girl, kind of like a loner, a little bit of a nerd almost, but she's also a killer vampire. And I really enjoy seeing, spectacular types of things in mundane situations, and that's exactly what you see. You see her riding her skateboard, and you see her sitting around listening to records, but you also see her, murdering drug dealers. So it's really cool character, a really great great looking character in a great looking movie, and I assume there's not going to be a lot of female characters on these lists. So if you bag on this pick at all, you are misogynist.
You'd be wrong, but okay.
Oh, here it is. Paul Oyama's joined the call before and embodied Kirk. Okay, and what is your number 8?
Okay, just a quick second. Is this top 10 best monster movies or movie monsters? I'm not sure Kirk understands what the show is.
So basically what ended up happening, Kirk took it a direction of like basing it solely on the monsters. You guys kind of solely on the movies, which is completely fine. He interpreted how he wants. But again, your list, the bottom two don't, for me so far, don't have one. Don't have a problem with them. One I haven't seen, so I can't really weigh too much on it. The other one, Trick or Treat, I found pretty rough for myself. I'm just not a huge horror fan, honestly.
What a surprise.
So I didn't find it that great. I passed by it a lot of times on the DVD rack. I was like, that looks terrible. That just looks bad. That looks bad. I watched it one night. I was like, okay, cool. I'll watch other things, but not bad. Your number 8, I think, shares with somebody, but you can bring it up and see if it's on anybody else.
My number 8 was King Kong from the original 1933 King Kong.
And does anybody else have that on their list?
I do not.
Which King Kong?
33.
The OG.
Oh yeah, I've got that. It's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because
That's it.
Two. So when you get to your 8,
Yeah.
you and Kirk can both talk about that. Apparently, Chance does not like classics, so that's interesting here. Just saying. So we're gonna go to Chance. Your 10, 9, 8. Again, give a pause before you start talking about them to let anybody else that has them, so we don't talk about them really. Okay.
Okay, so my number 10 pick is David Cronenberg's The Fly. Anybody else?
Nope.
No? Okay. So yeah, Cronenberg The Fly, compared to the rest of my list, this is the most different kind of take because it's more about a man becoming the monster as opposed to like a monster terrorizing the man. I think the body horror in that's really good. I think Cronenberg's direction blends really well. The special effects and the makeup are phenomenal. Like, it's great work on that. I think Jeff Goldblum gives a fantastic performance. I think if genre movies had the respect they do now back in '86, I do think Goldblum will be nominated for an Oscar. I think that's an incredible performance from him. And yeah, I think there's so much of The Fly that works for me. There's a lot of deeper themes in that movie that I really appreciate. And yeah, I think The Fly is amazing.
Yeah.
No problem. All right, number 9 for me is The Bride of Frankenstein, the OG, the sequel to the classic Frankenstein, the Boris Karloff version. Nobody else? Okay. Wow.
They hate women.
Yeah, they do hate women apparently. Yeah. So the first Frankenstein was seen as like a big thing. It was very critically acclaimed. People love it. So the idea of making a sequel of that just seemed really odd. But I think director James Whale took an approach that just really, I think just really kind of topped the original. He explored the theme of who's the real monster even deeper, as well as explore the idea of the monster, as in Frankenstein's monster, gaining humanity. I think The Bride is, despite the fact she's not on screen long, really leaves an impression on you. No one will forget that hairdo with the white stripe. No one will forget that animal-like scream she lets out. It's got a great atmosphere. It's got a great tone. The orchestral score is fantastic. It's absolutely iconic movie. One of my favorite Universal monster. Actually, it is my favorite Universal monster movie. I just realized I don't have any more on the list, so by default, my favorite.
Yeah, that's what. I'll stop right there in a second. That's very interesting. When I made this topic, I was like, how many classic monster movies will make the list? And this is one that really went to my mind because monster movies are really. I didn't want to just limit it to like pure kaiju and like classic monsters. I wanted to just kind of have a loose topic. So it's very again, your bottom 2 I have no issue with right now. So give us your number 8.
There's one classic monster movie that I had a really hard time leaving off on. Maybe we'll get to it later. My number 8 is Gremlins.
Anybody have it any higher?
I have that later, yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
we'll
so
talk about that in a second.
hold on.
All right, Malcolm. The moment that everybody in this chat, everybody on this call, everybody has been waiting for. Give us your 10, 9, and 8. And save your 8 again for you and Kirk both to talk about it. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah, so this was tough for me because there's some which I really don't resonate with. The Fly was one that I just really wanted to put on, but I just couldn't. But my number 10 anyway is Godzilla 98. I actually like this one more than the most recent one because
Hold
wait. It will come. Go ahead,
Malcolm. Fine.
But yeah, I mean, this is one I just really enjoy because you get to sort of see the destruction from the monster and all that. You did not all sort of just through the news footage and all that. And I just found the 2014 one very boring and long.
Oh, Jesus
Christ. Okay,
here we go.
So I will pass it along to somebody else in a second. But for me first, yeah, no. This movie's bad, bud. I'm also on the record that not liking 2014 as much as like people. I felt that movies didn't like, hey, the battle's about to go down. Hey, we're gonna cut to the scientists running in this. I don't care. Can I see just Godzilla rip somebody apart? That's just how I am, and I understand that was more classic Godzilla. But 98, I think Matthew Broderick's career was shortened from this performance. The ad placement before there was so obvious ad placement. Like, my gosh, everything was just in your face. Yeah, I'm gonna let the panel go ahead and have this one because thank you for embodying what my show is all about.
Kirk, you wanna
No, Chad, you look like you're ready to kill somebody, so I'll let you go ahead first.
Yeah, so Godzilla 98 is a terrible movie. It is completely awful. It's dated garbage. Yes, you see the monster a little more. Godzilla 98 only has like 3 more minutes of screen time than Godzilla 2014, but Godzilla looks like shit. Like people hated that movie so much. Toho hated that movie so much that they completely disowned that movie. He's not Godzilla. He's just Zilla because the god was taken out. And they hated it so much they had the real Godzilla kick his ass in like 15 seconds in Godzilla Final Wars. That movie is an absolute 90s pile of crap. It's like maybe the worst thing Roland Emmerich's ever done. That's saying a lot, considering his complete garbage track record. And the fact that you have that on your list that offends me to my core. And we're only at 10.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I think Malcolm knew with putting it at 10. I think you didn't help yourself, Malcolm, when you said I thought about putting The Fly on, but instead I put 98 Godzilla.
You put Godzilla 98 on.
So that's a little rough. But hey, you can redeem yourself. Let's go to 9. Let's. It's not so bad.
My number 9 is What We Did in the Shadows, because this is one that a lot of people are probably going to say, oh, you put it on because Taika Waititi's New Zealand and all that. Like, this is, for me, this is just really enjoyable. It's like, it's not often you see sort of someone take like monsters like vampires there and think, let's do sort of a mockumentary take on it, sort of showing them what they sort of do during the day and all that. I just thought it was a interesting, refreshing take on a way to do sort of use a monster in a different sort of way.
Yeah, that's again 1098. I don't normally have issues with for the simple fact is that makes sense. Like I take it as people with lesser known some stuff squeaks in. I think you got on there because of Taika. That's also I would be the same one. But if you like it for more than Taika, I totally understand it. But yeah, it's not an issue. Kirk, Malcolm, talk about 33 King Kong. I don't care who starts, where it goes. Just explain why.
Is that your number 8 too, Malcolm?
And if Chance,
Yeah, it's my number 8 too.
So Chance, after they're done talking, kind of say why it missed your list and why you didn't have it on there.
Good, Malcolm. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, like King Kong 33 is one that I do enjoy. It is one of my sort of favorite movies of all time. The reason I got it so low on this is because I rewatched it specifically for this list, and I just found that it's just so dated in this day. Like to put it higher above some of the other ones that have done monsters better is not that it fits right at 8.
Yeah, I feel it is dated, but to me, it's almost like in a time capsule of seeing really the groundbreaking work they did back there, and it's almost charming at this point. The effects work they did, because I mean for the time period, if you look at other movies around it, it's really not that bad. They did some really, even though you can see what they're doing, it's interesting how they do it, and I don't have a lot of I'll spoil it. I don't have like a lot of kaiju or a lot of like giant monsters on my list. To me, those aren't as interesting because it's like those are more like natural disasters. Where King Kong is still something that can be humanized and something that can be still interact with people. So I like that. I went with 33 because I still think that's the best King Kong. 76 I saw when I was a kid, and there was a 76, the 71 I saw when I was a kid, and I forgot about. Skull Island, they just made them big so you can fight Godzilla, and that's dumb. And the Peter Jackson King Kong is a giant flaming pile of garbage, and I don't want to say anything good about that. So King Kong 33 wins by default.
Fair enough. Okay, we're going. Chance.
Yes.
Tell us why 33 missed your list.
I like 33 King Kong. I mean, I just don't have that much of attachment to King Kong, honestly. Like it's something that never struck a chord with me like it did other people. I get like the theme they're trying to push. I get like why people love it. It's just there are other other monster movies that I enjoy more than King Kong. Even though that is a great movie, and I am psyched for Kong versus Godzilla 2020.
Somewhere Chris Clark is screaming out very loudly because it was not made it, but that's a topic for another day. Okay, so Kirk, we're going to start at 7 and move all the way up to 4, one at a time, kind of express it. If the panelists or myself have something to say, we'll stop you after you're done talking and let you know about it.
Okay, my number 7 was Gremlins, so I don't know if Chance wants to go first on that or how you want
to. You can both share like why this movie makes your list.
I'll let you go first, Kirk, because this is your time.
Okay. Gremlins, again, it's just another situation where you have these like horrible, despicable creatures, and they're terrified, and they're killers, and they're violent, and they're easy to hate, but at the same time they're fun. They're having a good time, they're dressing up, they're drinking, they're watching movies. So I really it's a great movie. I've introduced this to my kids now, and they seem to connect with it. And it's one of those great 80s movies, where you look at like something like like The Goonies, where it's like that next level kids movie where it's not just, you could tell there's a lot of adult stuff in there that as a kid you feel like you maybe shouldn't be watching, and you get to, and that makes it more exciting. So yeah, that's why Gremlins is my number 7.
Chance?
And yeah, Gremlins at 8 for me. That's a movie made by someone who you clearly can tell has a love for like science fiction and creature features and stuff like that. Because like you can look at any frame in that movie and just see like a little detail, like, oh yeah, Joe Dante is really into this. I think the threat of the monsters actually really felt. It's surprisingly dark. It's funny. It's got a twisted sense of humor about it, which I do love. I think the characters they leave an impression on you. It has a really good atmosphere, and it's a movie I pop in like every Christmas. It is one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time.
This movie's always frustrated me because it shows how stupid humans are at times. There's rules. Follow the rules. You wouldn't have issues. And
follow the rules.
They literally break them.
But Cody, it's always after midnight.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, granted the rules, if you think about it, don't make any sense.
Drives me nuts. But yeah, it's a fun movie. It's great. Probably the right spotting for me. I would put it. I don't any higher. I think nostalgia kicks in for some, because it's good, but it's not like for monster movies doesn't groundbreak. Okay, so Malcolm, why have you seen Gremlins? And if you haven't, why didn't it make your list?
Yeah, no, I have seen Gremlins. The
So
reason
why is Godzilla 98 better than Gremlins?
Well, I saw this for the first time last year. I've only seen it once, and it didn't resonate with me when I saw it last year. So it's like I think it's just one of those ones like I just saw it at the wrong time. I just too old to probably enjoy it as much as the others.
Yeah. So that means you've seen 98 Godzilla more than one time.
Yes, I actually have.
Now, if Gremlins had an annoying Hank Azaria, would that be higher for you?
Shots fired. Okay. All right, Kirk. Go to tell us first what your number 7 is or your number 6 is, and see if anybody else has it. And then
I'm guessing my next 3 are probably going to be very good chance these are double up. My number 6 is It in Pennywise.
Actually, no.
Anybody? Nope.
Oh, nope. I'm surprised. Right. Okay, I thought for sure we'd see him. Yeah, Pennywise, just a great monster. Terrifying. I love that movie. I love how bright it is. You know, there's so much that happens in the daylight and with the lights on in that movie. And my favorite scene is just when he's in the library and you see that lady behind him look up and smile and she's out of focus, and just little things like that that set this apart from a lot of other horror movies. You know, the kids are great in it. I'm very excited to see the sequel and see what they do with that. But yeah, I mean, he's just a great nightmare monster. I know we're not doing TV, so the Tim Curry version doesn't really come into play here. I think there's pros and cons to both sides. I do think obviously just because of the situation, the Pennywise in the movie that we've seen is better. But it's he's just a great nightmare. Again, you know, going back to that visceral childhood feeling of just being terrified and afraid, and how it encapsulates that.
So yeah, I have been on record as well. Pennywise, I felt like it was super overhyped. I think it's good. I think it has its merits, of course, but like there were certain movies, like when Get Out came out, it was like blown up and everybody was like crazy. And then when I saw it, I was like, okay, this one lived up to the hype. I really enjoyed Get Out. When I saw it, I was just like, yeah, I get it. Like, I understand. It just that one doesn't resonate for me. Just before we move along, just shout out some people in the chat. We got Cain, we got Jonathan Peck. Yes, Jonathan, you can be on an episode, but let me tell you, a lot of people want to be on an episode, so it's hard to place people. Star Drew says, is Pennywise a monster? Sure. I think anything can pretty much be a monster. I think Kathy Bates from Misery is a monster, so it's fine. I don't care what you say. T.M. Smith's here. Again, stay after the TV championship match is actually dropping after this, so stick around to watch that. Stuff like that. So first, before we move on, I want to talk to Malcolm and Chance. Pennywise should have made the list. Why did it miss for you guys? Stuff like that.
This is just one I honestly just forgot about. This is if I'd thought about it, I would have put it on my list and it would have knocked Godzilla 98 off. So
as it should have been. So the whole reason Godzilla 98 didn't on your list is because you forgot about fucking Pennywise. Okay. I really enjoy 2017's It. It was one of my favorites that year. It's just I have more of an attachment to these movies just because I've had all these movies I have on my list I've had for years. So I have more of an attachment to these than I do the first It at this point. So that's why I didn't make my list.
Yeah, I think the second one might change a lot of people's opinions if it lives up to everything and does the sequel well. Pennywise can definitely change that first film for a lot of people. Okay, give us your next one, bud.
Okay, probably get some questions on if this counts as a monster too. My number 5 is Jaws. And I know
I have it higher.
Okay. All right. And then so moving on.
And just to have everybody, Jaws, I ran it by a lot of people. I got about 70% yes, it counts. 30% no, it doesn't count. To me, I think it does count as a monster movie because there's nothing like enhanced about him, it's still a terrifying thing. he still attacks something, it's still traumatizing. So I'm okay with counting it as a monster movie. Come at me, I don't care. This is my list, and your list would suck if you didn't have Jaws on it. Okay, go to your next one.
Okay, and my number 4, again, I wouldn't be surprised if this comes on higher somewhere else's. It's Alien and the Xenomorph. From
I
the
also
first
had
Alien.
that higher.
Okay.
No,
All right.
You have it similar.
I do.
Don't you?
Where do you have it?
You have 5.
Oh, yeah. Then yeah, I do have it 5.
Okay, so let's talk about it now. Kirk, you're going to start with Alien, and then
Okay.
we'll just skip over that. Just both tell us, and then Malcolm, you don't have Alien.
I don't have Alien.
Okay. Explain after that why you think why it missed for you.
Okay, I guess I'll start. Alien is just the Xenomorph is just an amazing monster. The look, the design, the atmosphere of that movie. I mean, the things. I mean, just every horror. I mean, you got the body horror. The fact that it breathes inside through your mouth and your stomach, just that it destroys you that way. The thing bleeds acid. It's just horrifying, and just the claustrophobic space that they're dealing with in that movie, being stuck on that spaceship, and the way they do that, and the way they just reinvent. Like the whole like monster movie haunted house genre in a science fiction, with a coat of science fiction paint slapped onto it is just really amazing, really great movie. And I went with specifically with Alien because I really like the single unstoppable monster. Once you get to Aliens, it just becomes like 80s action schlock, and they're just like they're basically just cannon fodder. And the thing there's one thing in Alien that can't be destroyed, and then you have 1,000 of them in Aliens, and they're just getting shot down with machine guns, and that cheapens it for me. So specifically Alien for this one for me.
Yeah, I remember when I was younger, I used to like Aliens more than I did Alien. But the more I watch Alien, and the more like it sat with me, I realized, oh no, this movie was so fucking brilliant. The tagline of that movie was "In space, no one can hear you scream," and throughout, from the beginning to the end of that movie, you feel it. Like it instills so much fear into you. Like just the chest bursting scene alone, just the idea of something laying eggs inside you and it just busting out of your stomach. It's horrifying. The Xenomorph, H.R. Geiger did a great job designing it. I think, like it's scary. It's creepy. It's got a lot of. I can't lose my thought. I think the Alien is a great design. I like the way it plays genre, where it messes with what the audience thinks. Because like for a lot of the movie, Tom Skerritt's said to be the main character, but then like by the third act, it's flipped, and it's Sigourney Weaver as Ripley, who went on to be one of the greatest horror icons of all time. And yeah, I think Alien's a masterfully done film.
Yeah, completely understand Aliens. It's really interesting where certain people really hold Alien in high regards, and then Aliens too. Some people say it's better, some people say it's worse, back and forth. But you had actually a really good point, Kirk, about Alien being more of a just the Xenomorph and just like the similar
video game at that point.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Even though I like Aliens a lot, I 100% agree with you. That was the right choice. So Malcolm, you're in trial again. Tell us why Alien did not make your list.
I've just never seen it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. Next, we just finished. Did we just finish off Kirk? Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was my 4.
We are going to start with
It's 4.
Chance.
Those were your 5. Never mind. Okay, back to me. All right, so my number 7 is one I'd be a little surprised if anybody else had on their list. My number 7 is Little Shop of Horrors.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah, nobody else. Okay. Yeah, this is probably the most different movie I have. I wanted to put something a little different, and Little Shop of Horrors just really does it for me. I think the idea of like a horror monster theme musical is actually really interesting and lends itself to like it's a pretty fun premise. It's like Rick Moranis in the movie. I think he has great chemistry with Ellen Green. The songs are great. I really love Levi Stubbs as the Plants. I think he's a really menacing bad guy, despite the fact that most of his dialogue is in song. I think the threat is real, and it's clear there's a setup of campy monster B movies. Full disclosure, I am more partial to the the director's cut ending than I am theatrical cut. I think it falls more in line with the tone of the film, and given the tone of the film throughout the first part of the movie, I think that just makes the original ending the more funny. even though the fact that it is super dark when you look at it. But yeah, I think Little Shop of Horrors it's a fantastic film, and if you haven't seen it, you should go watch it.
Yeah, very interesting choice. Not saying it's bad. I really enjoyed Little Shop of Horrors. It probably was one that would have probably slipped under my radar of thinking like, oh, you're not wrong. That's actually the correct choice. So yeah, that's an interesting pick. I'm kind of glad you brought that up. Let's go to your next one.
My number 6 is John Carpenter's The Thing.
Anybody?
No.
Wow. Okay.
A lot of Christian Harloffs here. Don't like it or have you okay.
I should hope so, because The Thing really should be. It's the same thing with. I have a similar thing with The Thing that I do with The Fly. I think it's a great body horror film, and I think the makeup effects on that are also top notch. John Carpenter and Kurt Russell always lend for. They always lend for an entertaining combination, whether it's Escape from New York or whether it's Big Trouble in Little China, or whether it's this one, The Thing. I think the isolation of being in the North lends itself to having a great atmosphere. I think the score by Ennio Morricone is absolutely phenomenal. I think it's a really great score. So much so that Tarantino completely repurposed it for his Hateful Eight movie decades later. I think you have a great ensemble cast, whether it's a young Keith David, pretty much doing the role that would define the rest of his career, or Wilford Brimley and his, I think he had diabetes at that time. I can't say for certain. The Thing, it's a great thread. And it's also, I like the thread of something that you don't know is there. It reminds me of kind of, it's the same thing I like the T-1000 for. It's like, it could be right under your nose, and you wouldn't know until it's too late. So yeah, I think it lends for a lot of good horror. And yeah, I think The Thing's a great movie.
That's very funny. I think perfect spot for The Thing. Saw it once, didn't really resonate with me. Just watched it a second time.
Come on.
Let me finish.
Okay.
I watched the second time. It definitely I caught things more. I guess my first viewing wasn't the greatest for me, but the second one, I can perfectly see why this movie. I think it's almost the right spot too. I don't say that a lot on these shows, but I think that was where I would have put it. I think it gets a lot of cult, like, for, I would say, older generations, because, they probably, were younger when it, so I caught it later in life. But it's definitely a good one. I just don't think it's top 3, so I think you have the correct ranking on that one. Okay. We already know your number 5, so let's say your number 4, because I have a lot to say. So
let me jump in there real quick, Cody. Just let you know, Chance, your last 2 picks are both on the bubble for me.
Really?
Those might be in my like 11, 12, 13 range. Gave a lot of thought to Little Shop of Horrors just for the same stuff. And again, remember, I'm coming at this. I was thinking more about the monster than the movie itself.
Right.
I love Audrey too, or is it Audrey Jr. in the movie? I can't remember.
Audrey too.
Yeah, but I just love the look of that. Like you said, the sound, the tone, the voice, everything. It's a great monster. And The Thing is one of my favorites. If I had been going strictly on the movie itself, definitely would have made my top 5. Just great looking. I love the 80s effects. A lot of that, all that practical stuff in that movie, and just the feel and the tone of it's great. So yeah, no disrespect to either of those for me. Like I said, those could very well have been just the 2 that got cut off at the end for me.
All right.
Okay. So apparently this next is going to cause a bit of a stir. I don't know why, but I guess we'll find out in a second. Number 4 is Predator. The Predator.
No.
Nobody?
Good. You shouldn't have. Okay, go ahead, Chance.
Let me explain. Okay, so I think The Predator. First of all, I think it's the only monster action movie I have on my list, because Monster Squad didn't end up making it. But I think what works about The Predator is the fact that some of them people don't really acknowledge about it, is the fact that it's really kind of a satire. Like, you take this squad of guys who, in like any one of these guys in any other movie, would be the hero, who would be the main guy, he'd be the main ass kicker, and you put him in a situation where they are essentially powerless. Put him in a situation where they are it's called The Predator because in this situation they are the prey. It takes the 80s action equation that was really kind of finding its stride in 87, and it just completely flipped it on its head. I think it's got a lot of memorable characters, got a lot of memorable lines. I think The Predator is an absolute badass. I think probably my favorite movie. Okay, maybe I can't say that. One of my favorite movie aliens of all time. Like, I think it's just a great idea of something who is like the ultimate killer going up against people who on a world are they are the ultimate killers, and it blends for a lot of great conflict. I think The Predator is a fantastic film.
Predator is terrible. It sucks. It's a B movie. It should have been a straight to DVD.
It is not a B movie. Having Arnold alone makes it A list.
I literally saw my dad used to say Predator, Predator, Predator. I finally watched it when I was little. I was like, I leaned over. I was like, I didn't like it, and my dad was like, "Well, you don't know good movies." And I was like, "Fair enough." But then
you're not my son.
Then I grew up and watched it in fresh, and gosh, that movie is. I'm glad it's short compared to some movies. Like if this came out, like I agree, it's better than what just recently came out of The Predator. But that's not saying a lot.
Predator's bad.
I hate this movie. I don't think it should have been on this list. I get the character's good. I just don't like the entire plot, anything about it. I don't like this movie at all. Your list now sucks for having it. Have a good day, sir. Kirk, Malcolm, thank you so much for putting 98 Godzilla over it, Malcolm, but tell me why you didn't.
Come on. Predator's way better than 98 Godzilla.
You're 100% correct.
Same reason as Alien. I've just never seen it.
Don't. Save yourself. Don't
this man, Malcolm. Go watch Predator.
Honestly, again, for me coming at this list from focusing on the monster more than the movie around it, the Predator wasn't a consideration for me. May have been top 20, 25. But yeah, the movie it's dated. It's a schlocky 80s movie, and I mean I know if that's your thing, that's your thing. A lot of people like it. It's just not my cup of tea.
It's not. Terrible. It is not a B movie. Okay, having Arnold makes it A list. Carl Weathers, Jesse Ventura.
Oh, please tell me Jesse.
Okay, now you're dropping off the list there, Chance.
I'm sure there's an episode top 10 where Roker's either Roker or Nos is arguing the same point.
No,
here's the great news, guys. Listen, we all live in a day and age that I invited Malcolm on this panel.
Right.
I'm ready for this list. There's some that I really don't have any problems with. There are some I have a lot of problems with.
Okay, let's find out.
I can't wait to find out. So, Malcolm, please deliver your number 7.
My number 7 is probably...
Hold on. I'm going to train. Kirk, Chance, if you have a reaction, wait till he is done talking, then let me say something, and then I will release the dogs, okay?
This does inspire confidence, but okay.
I'm just letting everybody know for the future, just going ahead of it, okay? Here we go.
My number 7, I'm pretty sure, is going to be one of those times. I've got Jurassic World on here, but but this is one that I enjoy for the fact that because I mean the other one is a much better movie, which may come up later, but this one I enjoy because it shows the chaos of having an open park with all the dinosaurs running loose and just rather and to create a very super dinosaur like the Indominus Rex, I think is a interesting creation, and that is one that with I think it's the cuttlefish gene which makes it be able to blend in. It just makes one of the intriguing dinosaurs which is really hard to find if you try to find it. So
okay. So I've been on the record with this. I love that you brought up the cuttlefish thing because I think you just heard your argument more than anything. But I have been on the record with I like Jurassic World for what it is. I think Jurassic Park, the first one, can never be duplicated or remade. I think it's a fantastic movie. The problem is you can only do that concept for so long. So yes, I agree. Just stop. But we live in this Hollywood studios that they're not going to stop. So I take Jurassic Park or the movies that follow as disaster films. All I care about is the twisters in disaster films or like typhoons or whatever, wrecking shop. So with this, I just want to see dinosaurs eat things and move on. And I don't care about character development or plot because that was what the first one was, and that was the brilliance of it. Do I think it should have made your top 10 monster movies? Probably not. I don't think it probably should have made your top 50. But as a fun movie, I enjoy it. I just had to watch it for a fandom match. I didn't hate every bit of it, but there's like so many problems with it. I did see Kirk. He had something with the Jurassic Park logo on it, so I think his heart is hurt here. So I'm going to let him get his feelings out, Malcolm.
No.
It's not against you, but this is a therapy session, so we need to work past our problems. So Kirk,
Oh.
go ahead.
Malcolm, God bless you. I think you're probably the only person in the world who's ever used the cuttlefish as a positive argument for Jurassic World. Oh my gosh! And you're almost hitting the target here, Malcolm. You're getting great franchises, but you're picking the worst movies in the franchises. Jurassic World is. I know it kind of parodies itself, but just because you point out that the dinosaurs you're making are dumb doesn't make them any less dumb. And you're talking about the open park and the open world. It doesn't make any sense. The first 3 movies are about, the whole story is, if you open this park, people are going to die. It is a 100% inevitability. That is the whole arc of the first 3 movies. And you come into this, and the park's just open. Where'd they get insurance? How did they get this park open? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all that park is open and it exists. And it's terrible.
Tell us how you really feel.
Go ahead, Chess. I'm sorry, I'm done.
Okay, now I will say I don't. I probably the same zone as Cody. I don't dislike it as much as Kirk apparently does. Jurassic World is probably my favorite of the Jurassic Park sequels. Granted, none of them are like super great. I think the idea of the park being open is interesting. I think the boss, the Tyrannosaurus and Raptor versus Indominus Rex at the end, I think that's a cool fight scene. But having this over both 33 King Kong, I don't even have my fucking list, but I will say it's better than Jurassic World and What We Do in the Shadows, which is fucking great. Having Jurassic, first of all, Jurassic Park better be higher on this list, or I'm gonna fucking lose my shit. Look, thing about Jurassic World, the movies are like they're not very. The sequels themselves aren't very interesting. Like they're stupid popcorn fluff, and you have them over significantly better movies, which is the thing that's driving me nuts. So. I feel I have more rage I can pour out, but I feel I'm going to use it later.
Malcolm,
so Malcolm, go
I
ahead.
appreciate you because you took the concept of my show and ran with it. You pulled a Kaleb Koho and a Ryan Permison. So do not feel bad about yourself. I am creating a special Hall of Fame wing for you guys, and you will go in there. But let's tell your next one. I think it's going to be still a move on, but you can still say what spot it's in.
Yeah, my number 6 is Jaws.
Okay, yeah,
and we'll
I'll
talk
set it
about
there.
that. Okay. And your next one.
Yeah, but my number 5 is the Brendan Fraser Mummy movie. This is one that
okay, what's your real 5?
All right, continue. Let's have a conversation.
But this is one that I enjoy for what it is. And it's one that I actually have gone back so many times to rewatch because I like watching it. Because I think the Mummy itself, the like monster element of it, is done perfectly. It's definitely better than the Tom Cruise crap anyway. So
okay,
but yeah,
What kind of comparison is that?
okay. So I'm just gonna say this very nicely. As much as I think Koho does hot takes to have the sake of hot takes, I honestly believe you that you like this. But I also have problems. The movie Alien is out there, and that you have had the audacity to pop in Brendan Fraser's Mummy not only once, but multiple times to watch it, than watching Alien. Sir, I'm offended and hurt. Brendan Fraser's Mummy is 90s, right?
90s, 1999.
90s, like you take the the sci-fi, mix it with like the ridiculousness of Con Air, and throw it in a movie. Like, there's kind of a reason Brendan Fraser doesn't really work that much anymore. And like that movie has like those comedic lines that I go like I would watch a montage on YouTube about it. I wouldn't sit there for 2 hours and watch it. But hey, to each his own, I guess. But I don't think Chance or Kirk are going to let you live that down. So you can give a quick blurb. We're going to still try to move on a little bit, but let people know. Jeff, the Mummy rules. Get out of here. I need a new tag team partner.
Okay, so going to me next.
Yes,
okay, I
go
will
ahead,
say.
just real quick.
Yeah. Malcolm, you're really frustrating me here. Why? Because they have no alien. You got another thing. You have two better Mummy movies, which I'm just gonna venture a guess and say aren't even on your fucking list. And you put the Brendan Fraser Mummy, like that movie is just Indiana Jones light. Just go watch Indiana Jones. Go watch his other adventure series. Go watch Revenge of the Stone for Christ's sake. But no, the Brendan Fraser Mummy, it's not good. I think it's kind of the intention. At least I hope it is, or else Steven Summers is kind of. It's fun, stupid '90s cheese, but as a monster movie, the effects have not aged well, at all. The CGI in that movie just does not hold up in the slightest bit. Like there are times when I'm watching the movie and I feel like I'm watching The Prince of Egypt. That's how bad it is. Like Brendan Fraser, like Cody said, there's a reason he doesn't work anymore. It's because he tried to put all his he's not an interesting action hero. Especially in that role, there are 70 different actors you could put in that role in that movie, and it would probably be a lot better. So yeah, that's all I'm saying on me.
Kirk, just real quick,
I'm on the chat here. The Mummy is a lot better than the Mummy 2015. Okay.
You mean 17? But you bring that up, but that movie sucks, and that's coming from a massive Tom Cruise fan.
Then we got here. Sure. I would watch the Mummy over the Doom movie. I mean, these are the kind of comparisons we're drawing with. That's how bad this is. And again, I agree with you guys. I mean, Brendan Fraser's a huge problem in this. When I watch that movie, I'm like, if you would have put a better actor in there, you could have kind of created an iconic character that you could have done something with. But the whole thing just fell flat, and it's so dated. It's like listening to doo-wop music. It's so dated. You know exactly where you're at when you watch that movie. It's like stamped 1999. Boom, right on it.
Okay, Tim Smith wins the chat. He literally just put in there, he says, to be fair, Star Drew, I would rather watch Chick Park Do, which is Caleb's film, on Eternal Rewind than Doom. Doom is the worst crap fest made into a movie. So yes, just saying, hey, I would rather have this than that. I would rather watch paint dry than watch some things. It doesn't mean it's better. Stop. Okay. Where are we at? Oh, I thought we were going to get a safe spot. Kirk, bear with us. Malcolm, you have one more spot. You agreed to be on the show. You knew what this was going to happen. So
yeah.
What you need to say.
My number 4 has already been mentioned. It's King Cole 2005.
New Zealand bias. New Zealand bias.
You're saying that because you made the movie.
I mean, partly, but still, this is what I really did enjoy. I enjoy it more than 33. I do this is one that I don't just enjoy because all the monster elements are good. I actually enjoy it because this story is actually, I enjoy watching the story all the way through. Because I got the extended version of it as well, and I don't get bored with it. And I mean, I've got a record before saying that I really love this over 33. It's one that shouldn't really come as a surprise to most people because I was the one that put it on the deep cuts round. So,
okay.
Full Metal.
I want to make this quick because we're running a little bit short in time. The problem I have with doing this right now is this is higher than Jaws. That is absolutely insane to me. This movie is very boring. I would honestly put Kong Skull Island higher, just because of the ridiculous fun that you could possibly have through that movie. This one is just so boring for me. I have never rewatched it after I watched it once and it was bad. I'm going to let just Kirk kind of talk about this, Chance, if that's okay, just because we're a little short on time. Kirk,
I'm sitting over here baffled that there's an extended version of this movie. What level of hell did you have to travel to find that? Holy God. You're right. There's a good story in this. There's 80 minutes of story in this movie, and it's 3.5 hours long. We get it. Everything on the island is big. Everything's big. We don't need an hour and 15 minutes of King Kong fighting 15 different big things to learn that. Then you have them ice skate for 10 minutes so they can look at each other. What's the best case scenario here? Are they going to fall in love and like move to the suburbs? Just get to the top. I've been here 3 hours. Get to the top of the building and fall off already. Holy God, an extended version. Oh, what more could they do to us? What more could they put us through an extended version? Oh my God, that hurts me.
Okay.
I'm physically
All right.
in pain.
Well, Kirk, maybe you'll feel better. Talk about your number 3, and why, and see if anybody else has it. And then if not, we'll say why the top 3 kind of missed at the end. So
Sure.
if you didn't have it, just talk about it at the end. But we'll talk about your 3 right now.
Okay, my number 3. Again, with me looking more at the monster than the movie itself, and this is a good movie. I didn't want to be in my top 3 probably. It's a really good movie. And I went with the Babadook. And kind of take everything that I said about Pennywise, and I think Babadook actually does it better. It's just a real small claustrophobic movie. It's relatable. You have that mom and the troubled child, and them trying. Just their real life, everyday stuff is stressful and hectic, and you feel that pressure. And you add this like nightmare into it, and the Babadook is just so visually striking. You never really get a clear view of him. It is like a nightmare or a dream that you're constantly have when you look at him. I love the mythology they built up around it, and yeah, I just think he's the boogeyman. He's a great boogeyman. There's nothing scarier than the boogeyman. So that's my number 3. You want me to just keep going?
Nope. Number 3. So then we'll go to Chance's number 3.
Okay. All right. Gotcha.
Okay, so my number 3 is Pan's Labyrinth.
Okay.
I think Guillermo del Toro has a natural flair for movies like this, where it's like dark, like just gritty monster movies. I think it has a great thing. It's set in Spain. It's set in Spain in the past, and yeah, I think something I really love about Del Toro as a director, I think the dude can bring some like really kick-ass monsters to the screen. Like there's so many memorable shots, so many memorable like haunting imagery, so many memorable gothic symbols that comes all in the form of the monster in this fantasy world that he created. I think it's scary. I think it sticks with you. I think it's very well directed. It's still my favorite Del Toro movie of all time, and that's saying a lot. The dude's a fantastic director. And I think the dude has a natural flair for monster films. I think this is easily his best.
Yeah, I'll just touch on the last 2. Babadook probably wouldn't have made mine. Not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just not into horror movies as much as most. So that's why it takes a lot for me to go back to them. But Pan's Labyrinth, great choice. Again, still, in this community shouldn't be like people not seeing it, but I know in the general movie population, it's not a sought after one. And if people always ask me like if I know what they like, I always suggest this one just because if it fits that, if I feel like they can handle, it's a fantastic film. So yeah, Malcolm, give us your 3.
My number 3 is Jurassic Park.
This is
I have it higher.
Okay, so we'll wait for that one. So we'll go back to Kirk real quick. Kirk, what's your 2?
Okay, this one's probably gonna be controversial, and I'll probably get a lot of flack for this, but I don't care. I'm ready to take it because this is my choice for number 2 monster, but this is also my number 2 horror movie of all time, and it's Night of the Living Dead. I know at this point everybody's sick of zombies. Zombies are overdone, whatever. But this was the movie that started it all. And if you look at what George Romero does, I mean, we look at zombies now. You have werewolves, you have vampires, you have all these, historically, culturally relevant monsters. And George Romero in this movie invented a new monster that we look at in the same light as those other monsters. Great story, great cast. And what I love about the zombies is the inevitability. I love the fact that you start out, there's 1 or 2 slowly making their way to the farmhouse, and by the time it's over, it's just completely overrun. And for me, that goes into the Living Dead, or the Living Dead whole franchise. By the end of it, they've taken over the world. So just the zombies, everything they can represent. They say they represent communism or disease or whatever. So much you can apply to that, and yeah, it's one of my favorite. Pittsburgh movie gets points for that, and definitely one of my favorite. Just the tone, the atmosphere, the black and white cinematography. Great movie.
Yeah. Again, this is one that I'm like, does it count? Does it not? Yes, no. I'm with it. I kind of wanted this episode to be what you interpret as a monster movie again. And I think with having this choice, most people are going to be like, no, it doesn't count. Yes, it counts. It brings up some, controversy. So it's fine with me. By the way, Cain just retook the win in the chat just for saying, Jonathan Peck said he liked the King Kong 2005, but Cain's response was, "You're a Redskin fan, so your point is irrelevant." So that was a perfect win on that one. Good job, tag team partner Cain. Let's go to Chance for your 2. I know Malcolm had it, and then Kirk kind of explained why it missed. So, okay.
So my number 2 is Jurassic Park. I think this brings the majesty of dinosaurs to the big screen in a way that that people hadn't seen. I can't say we because I wasn't around in '93. And the way people hadn't seen before in movie, I think the CG effects are really great. They still really hold up. The practical effects are awesome. Just like so many iconic scenes with the T-Rex and the cup of water with the vibrations, the raptors in the kitchen. Calling a monster movie kind of counter to the point, but still, I consider it a monster movie because they're a threat to these people, and they can be seen as monsters. These are ancient lizards who came back from the dead. So in my book, they are monsters, and they are fucking scary.
Yeah, and Malcolm.
Yeah, this is one that I pretty much like just echo what Chance said. Like, this is probably one that it showed that the dinosaurs are a real threat, and why you shouldn't mess with genetics and try to make a park based on dinosaurs, because otherwise, what happens in Jurassic World will happen.
So a bad movie will happen. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. Cain, I didn't mean it. Kirk, you're a fan of the first one. Why did it miss your list?
Again, this would have been a bubble pick for me. Top 15. I definitely considered it. I think maybe at least subconsciously because I had Jaws on the list, maybe that took the spot of the Spielberg real life animals as monsters spot for me. But I have no good reason to not put on there. I totally respect it. I could see it being this high. And again, if we would have done a top 15, you probably would have saw it on my list too.
Fantastic. All right, Malcolm. Number 2.
My number 2 is Cloverfield. This is one that I really enjoyed because one's like I think the first person shot, whatever they want to shaky cam, whatever the sequence they want to call it. But I think it works for this one because not only do you not see the main monster until right at the very end, you get to see the destruction caused around with this effect, and I think that works so well. Like, you see glimpses in that you don't, and when you finally see the monster, it just looks so scary and just so terrifying that you can understand sort of why it was causing all that destruction.
Yeah, you kind of redeemed yourself a little bit. I mean, your list still sucks, but I think everybody on this list has a moment where it sucks, so I'm okay with that. But this one is interesting because it kind of took me by surprise the first time I watched it. When you say shaky cam, it kind of like launched it. I mean, not launched it because Blair Witch and stuff, but it did it to a way that wasn't overused at the time, wasn't rammed down our throats. So it was a nice change of pace when it came back in this movie. And I think it does a brilliant thing of not showing the monster till the very end, pretty much. You see like the Statue of Liberty's head go flying. It's just very claustrophobic almost. It has like this really cool effect on it. So I like this movie a ton. Pretty good ranking to me. I would probably put it in the top 5. It's definitely better than King Kong 05. So we'll go to Chance, Kirk, anything real quick on Cloverfield, why it missed?
No, I mean, again, this could have been top 15 for me. I totally respect it. Malcolm, you are redeeming yourself. I feel bad for the stuff I said earlier. Yeah, just the way it's presented, the way the story's told, and what you're given visually throughout the story and how that builds. I've never seen anything like it before. I think it's really brilliant.
Awesome.
I,
Chance?
I will say, despite the fact that it's found footage, they do a really good job at showing you the scale of the monster. I think that's really interesting. I give it a lot of props to Matt Reeves' direction. But yeah, these other ones strike harder for me than Cloverfield does. It's like top 25 might make it, but top 10 not even close.
Well, hey, if you need help finding a placement, your number 4 could be replaced. Just saying. Okay,
Nope.
we're moving to number
Not
1.
with that.
We're moving to number 1. Kirk, tell us what your number 1 movie is.
My number 1 movie is the original Frankenstein, 1933. I've only seen this movie for the first time probably in the past year, and this movie resonated with me. It really stuck with me. It's the story of a creature who's just thrust into existence against his will, shut out in the world with no idea why he's there, what he's supposed to do, and he just messes everything up that he touches. Frankenstein's monster is all of us. He is humanity. And that just, like I said, stuck with me for so long. There's a scene in this movie where he's they're keeping him trapped in a tower, and he looks up. There's the lid comes up off the tower, and he looks up and he sees the sun, and he just looking up and is like, why? It's like, who among us has not done that? Just looked up and said, why? What's going on here? And that just the character to me is Carlos' performance is so brilliant. In its silence and just what he's able to achieve through that. And I know, Chance, you had Bride of Frankenstein on your list earlier. I don't think that's a bad movie, but I think looking at it from our modern perspective, for me at least, that's where you start to see a lot of the Frankenstein stuff that gets parodied, the fire bad and all that. And so, I mean, I don't think, like I said, I like that one, but I don't think it's not as visceral, I think, is a good way as the original Frankenstein.
Okay. Malcolm, Chance, just a real quick blurb. Why this missed your list?
I'll bet for me. I like Bride of Frankenstein more, so that's the only reason it didn't make it for me.
That's fair.
I just haven't seen it.
Of course. So you've seen Godzilla 98 multiple times.
Fair enough.
Cool story, bro. Cool story, bro.
Add to the list. Okay, Chance, give us your number 1, and I think all 3 of you guys have something to say on this one, so go ahead.
Well, I mean, obviously, the one I haven't talked about yet. My number 1 is Jaws, because Jaws is a perfect movie. I think Jaws, you can clearly tell, took a lot of inspiration, inadvertently took a lot of inspiration from Godzilla 54, as in, as far as like the less is more philosophy. Because, like, granted, as much as you don't see the shark very much, but you still feel its presence in every single minute of this movie. And it has great character, good performances from Roy Scheider, Robert Shaw, and Richard Dreyfuss. There, 3 of them have absolutely phenomenal dynamic. It instills a lot of fear into you of something that's all around you. Water. I'll give you an example. When I was growing up, my grandma's house had a pool. After I saw Jaws, I stayed in the steps on the shallow end, and I would not leave just because I was scared a shark was going to come at me in the deep end and fucking eat me. I think there's so many iconic scenes, so many iconic lines, and so many iconic just like shark kills. Like, I would have loved to have seen the paranoia of the beach as this movie came out in '75, because it must have been absolutely insane. I think Spielberg just knocked us out of the park. It's my 3rd favorite film of all time. I think Jaws is absolutely incredible, and yeah, easily my favorite monster movie.
Totally fair. I have nothing bad to say about Jaws. I think Jaws is still my favorite Spielberg movie. Just because of what it did. The mayor is still a dumbass all these years later.
He is.
And it's I like being called calling people when I think they're completely dumb. You're just like the mayor in Jaws. Because it's like,
don't ever compare me with the mayor in Jaws. Ever.
It's just like the ultimate insult to people, and some people don't get it, and it's even better that way. So yes, I absolutely love this movie. I think I'm the same way. When I watched it, swimming was very difficult because that's all I thought. That theme is insane, is terrifying. It sends shivers down. Like, just seeing the fin pop up. And they did so much with not showing. Like, that's the beauty of this movie. When there's a monster lurking and you don't see it, I think shows so much like build of tension, and they do such a well job. And like, what, second movie of Spielberg? Third? Second?
Second. Well, that technically third. Technically third.
Technically third. That's stupid. Like, your third at bat, you're gonna hit a grand slam. Like okay, cool. Like it's just and it's carried forever. So yeah, I think Kirk, you had it, and so did Malcolm. So kind of explain why it made your list and why it didn't make higher.
Yeah, I had the same experience as Chen's talking about. I didn't want to go in a pool when I saw this anywhere near water. And yeah, just again, everything you guys said, the less is more, and just the tension it builds, and not just that, but the relationships that build around this shark with the three main characters. Just these three very different people coming from different, different ideas of life and where they're at, and to see them build that relationship out of necessity over the shark is really cool. And just like Chance said, you feel it every time, and it just sucks you in. I put this on Netflix a few months ago, and my son was playing Fortnite in the room, and he turned off Fortnite and just sat and watched the movie the whole time. So I mean, he's 10 years old, so that tells you the ability this movie has just to suck you in and make you feel every moment of it.
Yeah, Malcolm.
Yeah, I mean, like nothing is movie. This is a good movie. For me, the reason I had it solo is I saw this is another one that I've seen for the first time just recently, and it's just one of those ones that just doesn't resonate with me as much as the others, as if I'd seen it sort of earlier on and maybe had more time to sort of rewatch it again. So
okay, and go to your number one.
I'm looking forward to this.
My number one is obviously The Mummy 2017. Just kidding. It's a Quiet Place. This is
Wait, really?
one. Yeah. Well, yeah. This is one that it's maybe just a too recent one to be this high. There may be the argument, but this is what I really enjoyed because these monsters are unique because it's like to see sort of this family just sort of go like not being able to make any noise whatsoever. Otherwise, they're going to get murdered by this creature. It's just one of those ones that it resonated a lot for me, and I didn't expect to like it this much, but I did, and this is just one that, yeah, it's just enjoyable, and I think it does deserve number one spot.
That's a real interesting one. I liked it a lot. This might be the newness factor. It has an effect on things, like because it just came out and you just recently saw it, but you just recently saw Jaws, so that's an interesting choice for me. I'd say maybe bottom, just because I don't think it's. We'll see how it ages. But yeah, I can't argue with. I can argue. I can say this.
You can. You're choosing not to.
No, this is a pretty rough choice for number one overall, especially with what you have on your list. And Jurassic Park and Jaws are better movies than this. I think Cloverfield actually deserves it on your list more than this, but that is what it is. Those are your guys' ones. Chance, Kirk, anything quick about Quiet Place being on his number one?
I'll let Kirk go first.
I don't disrespect it. Making the list or under consideration. I don't think it's a good number one. And like you said, I don't know how this movie is going to age because I was really into it when I first saw it, and then the more I thought about it, I'm like, well, this doesn't work. Why didn't they do this? This would have been different. So I think there's a lot of that movie to pick apart. Where 10, 15 years from now, we might not be taking it as seriously as we do now. Not a horrible movie. If you'd have brought this at 10 or 9, I wouldn't have blinked at it. But number one, that feels pretty extreme.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Like I love The Quiet Place. It was on my top 10 last year, and John Krasinski made my favorite directorial effort from last year. But yeah, above what you have and what you don't have on your list, like it's a little ridiculous, and it feels like you're trolling us just a little bit.
Yeah, changed a little bit, trolls. But again, that was your guys' personal top 10 list. Again, I will run down what the actual combined list is, and I will let you know if it sucks or not. Your number 10 is Gremlins. Your number 9 is Babadook. Number 8 is Pan's Labyrinth. Number 7 is Cloverfield. Number 6 is Night of the Living Dead. Number 5 is that just 10, 9, 6. I do it all the
Five is
time.
what?
5, Quiet Place. 5 is A Quiet Place. 4 is Frankenstein. Actually, the next one is a little. It was lower, but it actually made sense. Alien. Alien is your number 3. Number 2 is Jurassic Park. And number 1 of all time is Jaws. Jaws is the top monster movie. Again, please comment below, like, comment, and subscribe to Multiplex. And just tell me if this list sucks. Should Malcolm ever be allowed back on the show? Because after this list, I'm absolutely bringing Malcolm back.
Absolutely.
He makes the show.
MVP.
He doesn't have the traditional picks, and that's kind of nice to see where his mind is on movies, and I'm totally cool with that. That's what the whole show is about. You're going to get made fun of, but it's also all out of fun and character. So again, Kirk, Chance, Malcolm, thank you for joining me. Join us next week for Your List Sucks. We're out. Hopefully as soon as Kaleb hits end, and I don't think he's going to, so